Hey, what's going on, guys? So we'll be taking a look at something a little bit different. These are actually bone conducting headphones from a company called Marsboy. So if you know your standard headphones that kind of like insert into your ear or go over your ear or something like that, and then they of course vibrate inside of there and play the music that way because your ear pick up the vibrations just like you would hear regular things. It's kind of the same idea with headphones, of course. They just kind of play music in a certain vibration pattern and all of that. But with these actually kind of go onto your, like as you can see here, they don't actually go into your ear, they go like right before your ear, and they actually vibrate and then they create the sound kind of through your head without necessarily using your ears. I mean, when I was using them I thought it was my ears hearing the music, but when I went ahead and put the earplugs in I could still hear the music and it was actually louder, so it was a very, very interesting experience. However, these are a little bit gimmicky, which of course we'll get into, but yeah, this is just the box that they come in. It says bone conduction technology, it says music because they are headphones, and it says phone, so you can actually talk on the phone with these, which is pretty cool. And then on the back here it just says be different, and bone conduction headset, and yeah, some other things. It says how not to wear them, how to wear them, and all of that. And yeah, the actual headphones themselves here are shown here. This little plastic tray actually comes in the box, which you would kind of expect. And then inside of the plastic tray here we have a user's manual. So we have a micro USB cable for charging the headset, and then we have two earplugs which came wrapped in a little thingy, but I went ahead and I used them because of course I was trying to hear if it was actually beneficial to use the earplugs, which again I will get into. And the final thing here is the actual headset itself. As you can kind of see here, this isn't really your standard looking headset. It does kind of look like some sports headsets. However, if you look at the actual kind of piece that you would think would go in your ear, you can see there's just kind of a rubber pad, and this is of course the part that vibrates as it goes onto your head. So as you can see, there's just a rubber pad here, which does make it very comfortable. I believe they could just kind of make it like a piece of plastic or something like that, but the rubber pad there is added for comfort, of course. And then the rest of the headset, as you can see, it's made pretty small. The only way to really adjust the size is through this little rubber band here, which is kind of annoying because it's like it still doesn't fit all that well. However, you can kind of move this rubber band up and down to increase the tightness that it places on your head, of course. So this is just the rubber band here, which of course helps it fit. On the actual headpiece, I guess is what we'll call this here, you can see that we do have a little thing that says calls. That is how you would answer and end calls when you are wearing the headset. And on the other side here we have a pause and play, which is of course for your music. On the back of the headset here we do have a little place for of course charging the headset. It's always a good thing to be able to do since it is a rechargeable headset. So you can open up this little flap here and then you can plug it in via micro USB, which is of course how you would charge the headset. Then we have an off and on switch, and then a little LED indicator. Then we have a skip and go to the previous track button. Unfortunately, there isn't any kind of volume adjustment or anything like that on the headset. You do have to do that all on your phone, which isn't too big of a deal. I find that I don't really use that all that frequently anyway. However, if you do wish to adjust the volume while you're running or something like that, you will have to actually pull out your phone, which is kind of unfortunate. I feel like it's pretty hard to access these buttons on the back of your head anyway, so you probably wouldn't really be using these buttons that much. It's much easier to kind of use the buttons located on the sides of the headsets, like the call and the pause button and things like that. So that is just kind of overview of the headset here. As you can see, it's almost 100% plastic. There's a little bit of rubber. It's not the greatest quality or anything like that. It feels fairly cheap. However, the technology inside of it is super cool, so that is kind of what gives it its more expensive price tag. As you can see, it's very flexible here. I'm not like damaging or anything like that by going like this, which shows it is pretty comfortable for a wide variety of head sizes. If it was just like constrained to this size or something like that, that would of course make it pretty uncomfortable for other head sizes. So because it stretches and things like that, you are totally able to use it even if you have a bigger head. So as for connecting and all of that, of course you will want to turn on the headset. As you can see, it said something here, and then it says Bluetooth on, and then there's a little blue LED indicator. And so to connect to it, which I have already done because my phone is already paired with it, you would just kind of go into Bluetooth, and then it says down here, it says Marsboy, and it's connected. It's just like you connect to your standard Bluetooth device. I don't think I totally have to work through that. You would just kind of turn it on, it goes into pairing mode, and then you go ahead and pair it, of course. To pair with a different device, you will go into your phone setting and just kind of press forget this device, and then it will go back into pairing mode, and you can pair it with a different phone and all of that. So as you can see, it is paired now, so if I were to play music or something like that through my phone, you would be able to hear it through here, which is something that I'll get into, which I find kind of annoying, but we will go ahead and find a song to play. And then as you can see here, or here I guess, you can hear it here. And that is just through the headset. So it's not like, I mean, if you feel it, it is definitely vibrating. However, you can hear it without like touching the headset at all. Like I put it on the table or something like that and turn the volume up. You can see that you can totally hear the music playing even though you're not actually touching the headset. So while it does rely on vibration, those vibrations do create a bunch of sound, which means that almost everybody around you can hear your music, and that is the main problem I've had with this headset so far. It honestly kind of defeats the purpose in my opinion, because I would think it's like, I mean, it makes sense that it's vibrating and so it creates sound, but I would think it's like vibrating and so you're like, oh cool, so it's like just vibrating, and the only way to actually hear the music is by touching it to a certain place on your head. However, that's not the case at all. That's why I kind of thought for a while that I was just hearing the music through, you know, because you can hear it without actually touching the headset. So I thought just because I put this like close to my ear, that is why the reason I was hearing it, because the music was just kind of going into my ear. However, that theory was busted when I went ahead and put in the earplugs and the music actually got louder. So that was not the reason I was hearing the music. I was actually hearing it through the vibration on my head. However, as I've shown you, even if you're not wearing the headset or anything like that, you can totally hear the music, which is kind of not a good thing in my opinion. Like, let's say you're wearing this on the bus or something like that, everybody around you will be able to hear the music, even though it's connected to your head and technically like vibrating on your bone because it's bone conduction. Everybody around you can hear the music. So that is probably my least favorite thing about this headset. So that's kind of my main problem with this headset, is that everybody around you can hear the music you're listening to. I don't know, for some reason when I heard bone conduction, I just thought it would be like only you can hear it, and it would be even better than like headphones in that sense, just because it's like vibrating, so it has to be on your head for you to hear it and all of that. However, that is not the case whatsoever. You can honestly like put this on a table and turn the volume up, and it's really, really loud, and you can almost use it as like a Bluetooth speaker. You really don't have to be even that close to it to hear the music, which is kind of a problem, because even with like headphones or something like that, people around you can't hear your music all that well. However, with this headset, they totally can, and that's not very good in my opinion. As for the actual sound quality, what's kind of funny is this sounds better if you wear it incorrectly. Like, you're not really supposed to, and it's not comfortable if you do. However, just to try it out, I like went ahead and kind of put these things over my ears rather than putting it like right in front of my ears, so it was like touching the bone and all of that, and it sounded best when I did it like that. Like, there's a very specific like X over doing it like that, because it's really not how you're supposed to wear it at all. However, that is how it sounded best, which means that it really didn't sound all that great otherwise, which is kind of annoying, because if you wear it properly, it really doesn't sound all that good. And they also include earplugs, so you can kind of plug your ears to listen to this, which seems a little bit weird because you're like putting headphones in, so I don't know why you wouldn't just do that, because if you're kind of plugging your ears, you're kind of defeating the purpose of having your ears open with this and all of that. So if you do plug your ears, however, the music does get louder. However, it also sounds a lot worse, so it's kind of up to you if you want like loudness over just kind of general sound. Like, the people around you will hear the music at the same volume, but if you put the earplugs in, then it will be louder for you and not louder for the other people around you. So if you're on the bus or something like that, you could have this fairly quiet, I guess, and put the earplugs in, and you would still be able to hear it clearly. However, it would not sound very good. When you wear it properly, it sounds okay. It doesn't sound as good as like Apple EarPods or something like that. It doesn't sound as good as probably any other wireless headset I've used. Like, I've used like $20 Bluetooth earbuds, and they've sounded a lot better than this. However, it is really, really nice to be able to kind of just hear what's going on around you, because these aren't plugging your ears or anything like that. With every other sports headset I've used, you've of course had your ears plugged by the kind of thing that fits in your ears, because a big part of sports headsets is like it plugs your ears so that you are able to kind of keep it in your ear while you're running and things like that. However, with this headset, of course, you do not have your ear plugged, which means you can totally hear what's going on around you and everything like that, which is kind of its main selling point, because you can hear cars behind you, you can hear other runners and things like that if you're using this while you're going on a run, and that does make it a very, very safe headset. However, like I said, my main problem with it is that everybody around you can totally hear what you are listening to. As for the battery life and things like that, it does advertise 10 hours, and so far I've gotten about 8 hours out of it, and it hasn't died yet or anything like that, so I haven't had any problems in that sense. And for overall comfort, it does get uncomfortable after a while. I would say I can wear it for about an hour and a half before it gets uncomfortable, just because it's kind of like squeezing on your head a little bit. However, it's probably more comfortable than like most headphones. I mean, it's definitely not more comfortable than like Apple EarPods, of course, because they're like extremely comfortable, but it's probably as comfortable or more comfortable than like other sports headsets I've used. And since you are kind of ideally using this for sports and things like that, then that means it is a pretty good option for comfort, because you don't generally exercise for like more than 2 hours, so I wouldn't really think you would have a problem with the comfort. However, if you are just kind of wearing it and not exercising, you might have noticed it being uncomfortable. It is kind of nice because of how well it clamps your head while you're running. You don't really feel like it's going to slip off, because you can adjust the band and just how well it clamps. You really feel like it's actually secured to your head, which is good. That's kind of the main thing you look for in sports headsets, and this one definitely delivers in that sense. So overall, would I recommend this headset? I would say no, unfortunately. I do definitely enjoy the fact that you can kind of hear what's going on around you. However, the fact that people can hear whatever you're listening to does kind of annoy me. I just think it's kind of annoying when other people can hear the music around you, because if you're wearing this on the bus or something like that, people don't want to hear what you're listening to generally, so I wouldn't recommend wearing this on the bus. However, if you're kind of like jogging alone in like a rural setting or something like that, then I wouldn't have a problem with this headset, just because you don't really care if other people can hear your music. You can hear it, and that's that's all that really matters if you're kind of running alone. But if you are wearing this in a more public setting, then I definitely would not recommend it in that sense. So if you have $60 and you kind of want, I guess, new technology, probably the main reason it's a thing is it says be different on the box here, and that's probably like the main thing it offers. It honestly is just cool. Like, it's bone conduction technology. That's pretty fancy. It's not your regular earbuds or anything like that. It is bone conduction technology. It is vibrating on the bone in your skull in order to hear your music you're playing. Probably the only main reason to buy this headset is because of the bone conduction technology. I guess like on the box it says be different. That's kind of like the only reason to buy this headset, I guess, unless you want to be able to hear what's going on around you and you don't care about other people hearing your music and you don't care about sound quality and you are willing to pay 3 times as much for a sports headset, then sure, I would go with this headset. However, you can get like a $20 headset that stays in your ears better, it's like slightly more comfortable and it sounds better, and other people can't hear what you're listening to, and you can get that for 1/3 of the price. So honestly, the bone conduction technology, it is definitely cool how it works, but at the same time, I just really wouldn't say it's practical. It would be practical if it sounded better and things like that, because it does make sense that you want to be able to hear what's going on in your environment and hear your music at the same time. But as of right now, I really wouldn't recommend this headset just because it's fairly expensive and honestly doesn't do much for you. I would just recommend a pair of Bluetooth earbuds or something like that. But yeah, if you do like want to have bone conduction technology for some reason, then you definitely can buy this headset because the technology is here, as you can see. I just don't think it's ready to kind of be mass consumed yet, because it really just doesn't work as well as I would kind of hope to. When I heard bone conduction technology, I was like, oh, you can just kind of not be able to hear anything unless you actually like touch it to your skull and you feel the vibrations and all of that. However, that is not the case at all. It's basically like 2 little Bluetooth speakers on the end, and it almost seems like that's the reason you hear it. That was of course disproved, like I said, when you put the earplugs in, because the music gets louder. However, most of the time it just feels like you're hearing what is going on outside of your head rather than actually feeling it kind of through your skull. So yeah, like I said, I really wouldn't recommend this product. I guess there are several reasons to buy this, but there are even more reasons not to buy it. So if you're interested in purchasing it, you can do so with a link in the description, and if you do purchase it, kind of maybe leave a comment saying how it works for you. Maybe I'm the only one that doesn't like it and other people do like it, but I don't know. I personally just think it's a little bit gimmicky, and honestly the only reason to buy it is for the bone conduction technology. Not even because it works well, but just to say I have a bone conducting headset. But yeah, anyway, if you enjoyed this video, then a like rating is always appreciated, and if you'd like to see more videos similar to this one, then feel free to subscribe. This has been Jordan for Jolt Reviews. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next review.